Hello and welcome along to our SQL Undercover podcast. You've got me, David, and down in the depths, don't let him out anymore. He's stuck down in the server room by the look of him. We've got Adrian. How you doing, mate?
Not too bad. It's a bit hot in here. Bit of down in the engine room, you know.
That's it.
You look like you're taking it easy there. Look, Big Ben
That's
in the
it.
background.
That's it, isn't it? Up on the Undercover Towers penthouse. That's where I'm
That's how
at.
the other half lives, that is.
So what have you been up to? That's our first one since Christmas, I think, isn't
First
it?
one of the year, yeah. And it's like the end of January already. This month has flown by. I've just been, Christmas is good, nice and quiet, play big kid at Christmas like usual. But yeah, I've just been so busy lately. Been messing around with, our tools as we do and updating stuff on there and trying to help some people out that have got a few bits up and running but wondering how to do things, which has been quite nice. It's been nice to hear a bit of people out there using stuff, which is good.
Yeah, it is nice, isn't it? It's great. You find people using stuff, they come to you with ideas and they're giving us things that we hadn't thought about before. So yeah, if anyone is out using any of our tools in Spectral Catalog, just let us know. Let us know what you're thinking. If you've got anything you want to add in, let us know. And yeah, we're more than happy to do it. It's cool.
It's really good because there's so many other configurations out there that you don't have. I mean, most people have got like a standard way of setting something up. So I mean, if you've got that, you tend to work that one way and that one way only. So you're just used to having things your way. But when other people are doing things differently, it's nice to see it. Got different configurations, or they want to capture this, or it's really good. It's really interesting stuff it's stuff you overlook sometimes. That we had an issue crop up a couple of days ago regarding file stream. I thought, never even thought about file stream, to be honest, because never used it. But it's nice to hear other things being used out there. Gives you a bit more insight, doesn't it? Opens your eyes a little bit.
That's it, isn't it? It's nice when people find bugs as well. I mean,
yeah,
I'd one on the catalogue a while back. Someone was using it and getting a bunch of errors.
Yeah,
and it turns out it's some fields in one. I can't remember which one it was now. On the server module, but there's a field in one of the DMVs that don't show up before Service Pack 3 of 2012, and he had an old Service Pack 1 box going.
Yeah,
so yeah, it's good. And so it's tweak those, let people then fix it.
Interestingly enough, actually, I had a look on my local instance, and I'm running 2016, and I didn't have it there either. Yeah, I thought I'd have it there. Or am I running 17? I can't remember, but it wasn't there either. I was quite shocked.
Really?
Yeah, it was only Dev Edition, but which makes sense because it's not on the CE or SP. But there you go. Yeah, I was quite surprised. But I mean, no, it is good. It is good when people spot that stuff because you think, oh, I didn't think about that, or I didn't see that, or I wasn't checking in that much detail to notice that little thing or that edge case. And it's good because you can only test for so much. You try these things, don't you? You think, oh, I need to check for that eventuality. What if it fails? I need to do that. But until it's out there doing these things differently, that's when you realise, isn't it?
That's it. You quite often code with your things in mind, don't you?
Yeah.
Other people using differently, you don't necessarily think about it. Yeah, it is really cool. Anyways, we're derailing already.
We've started.
We're already waffling on completely nonsense. Right, okay, so today you've got myself, and we're going to look at one of the nice new features of 2019, which is table variable deferred compilation. Now, thing with SQL, there's not many go fast buttons. There's not much you can just do that just makes the thing work better, just fixes all your code problems. But this is one of those things that I think really, really could help a lot of people. In table variables, horrible things like that. What do you think about table variables? We don't like them.
Oh, disgusting.
But you see them everywhere, don't you?
Yeah, and there's some interesting discussions about this, isn't there? Because people say, oh, when's a good time to use one? When's not a good time to use one? And I think I can't actually think of a good time to use a table variable, to be honest. But
interesting on this one. It's exactly the conversation I had a couple of days ago. Yeah. So got a new customer come on, okay, and their SQL Server is performing like a dog, okay. So I had a look at it, and there's a lot of things that we could change, we tweak to make things better. But one of them was this proc, okay. This proc was just smashing CPU every time it ran. It was horrible. So I had a look in it, and it is absolutely riddled with table variables. They're everywhere. It runs a cursor. It runs about 100 lines of code within its cursor, full of table variables. There's a nested cursor in there as well. Horrible thing. So I started chatting to the guys about it, and he said, "Yeah, no, that's all right." Because what happened? It turns out what happened was originally this thing was written to have. What are you still with, Zaid?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, mate.
It went a bit funny.
It looked like you froze a minute.
I was a statue mode, you know. I'm just blending in with the background.
Fair enough. No. So what he'd done, this thing had been written to only work on one row at a time. So it takes a parameter, which is a unique ID, and it only works on one row, which is why they thought, okay, table variables makes sense. You know, it's only ever working one row. Then someone had a clever idea of changing the way this thing works. They thought, oh, we could use the same proc, but if we pass null as a parameter, it will give us a nice big long report which you can run out every day. Now this thing was taking around about 20,000 rows in now. So these table variables, this thing that was designed for one row, which is probably okay, it probably behaves itself, is now having to deal with 20,000 rows. And it's falling on its backside.
But then I guess that probably comes back to that old classic discussion of, you know, building things to scale, doesn't it? From the beginning, from the get-go. Not thinking of your tiny little laptop arrangement where you've got like 20 rows, but thinking, you know, when this does scale out years down the line, is this going to cope? Or trying to scale that up from the start yourself and just test on bigger data, you know, would be sensible. But that's hindsight for you, isn't it?
This is exactly why I'm not a big fan of table variables. They're great. If you know you're going to be looking at one row, then maybe they're great. But can you guarantee you're always going to be using one row? You might want to scale this thing up. Or somebody else who doesn't necessarily know the ins and outs further on might want to scale this thing up. You know, is the performance benefit you're getting from one row table variable really worth it? Probably not. But
I think there's probably edge cases out there, isn't there? Because I've seen it before where it's used to like force a plan. You know, use a table and it's clearly commented there as well. Use the table variable to force a plan, like so that you know. Did you? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you did.
Yeah, I must admit, I don't think I've ever seen a good case for a table variable. But anyway, let's get.
Anyway,
we've gone off again.
I want to see it because I'm definitely interested in this, and I've had only a little place. It'd be good. I'm looking forward to this.
Right. So let me share my screen.
Show us what happens.
Bush. Right. Okay. So at the moment, I've got the camera in the wrong place. So we're going to use the Stack Overflow database. So let me we'll switch stats.io one as well because it might be interesting to see. Poor messages tab up, so I'll see what I'm doing. You know, I need to get a bigger monitor when I'm doing these. It makes it a lot easier. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to switch the Stack Overflow database onto Compact 140. So that's 2017. So 2017, we haven't got the table variable deferred compilation. So this is the old-fashioned behavior. Okay, so let's just run that, and we can see Stack Overflow Compact 140. Cool. So let's have a little look at what happens. Okay, so let's have a look at table variables in the old way of doing things. So I'm going to declare a table variable. I'm just going to insert 200,000 rows from the badges table in Stack Overflow. And then just a simple, really contrived query, just for this example, I'm just going to join that table variable back onto the original badges table. Okay, so if we just run that off, have a look what happens. It's going to take a few seconds to run. And I forgot to turn the query execution plan on, didn't I? Let's do that, because that's the whole point of this.
This is where you miss your run book, isn't it?
Yeah, yes. Right, this time we've got execution plans on. Okay. First, let's have a look at messages. Okay, so I put stats.io in just to see what sort of read-write we're getting. So from the badges table, you can see we're getting 600,000 reads at that badges table. But 600,000 reads at that badges table. Let's look at the execution plan. So what's going on in the execution plan? So we've got a table scan on our table variable. Let's highlight over that for a minute. So this is a problem we get with table variables. Estimated number of rows is saying 1, okay? Actual number of rows, 200,000. So this is a problem with table variables. There are no stats. So that means the optimizer has no idea on how many rows are going to be coming back from this thing. And when it doesn't know, the optimizer just goes, you know what, I'm going to call it 1. You know, it's blindfolded. It has no real idea what's going on at all. So in that case, it thinks 1 row is coming back. Okay, cool. We can cope with that. You know, I'm going to use a nested loop. When in fact, we're pulling back 200,000 rows. Is a nested loop really a great idea now for 200,000 rows? Probably not so good. So that's just an example of where the estimates can hurt us. And table variables are always going to end up with that bad estimate. They're always going to estimate 1. Now, there's a little trick around this. We can add, hang on, I've jumped ahead of myself somehow. There's a little trick around this. We can add option recompile at the end of our select statement. So that's going to make SQL recompile this select statement with a known number of rows. So let's just have a look at what that does for us. So remember, this is still using 2017 compact level, so we haven't got our table variable deferred compilation here. Okay, so it's going to take a few seconds to run again. If we have a look at messages now, okay, remember before that badges table, we were seeing 200,000 reads. That's now down to 6,633. We've dropped nearly 600,000 reads. That's massive. And this is just a little contrived example of a query, but that's massive. You've got a big query. This could really, really matter. Let's have a look at the execution plan. So straight away, we've got a completely different looking plan here. Okay, so again, remember, this is using 2017 compact level. Let's have a look at the scan. So now straight away, you can see we've got correct estimates. We've got an estimate of 200,000. So have we solved the problem of table variables just by adding that recompile? Well, that's got one little problem. There's one little problem with this recompile, is that it means that every time you run this particular bit of code, you're going to have to recompile the plan, okay? So you've got no plan use here, no plan reuse here at all. That could be a bad thing. So let's now have a look at what happens if we change ourselves to compact level 150. So we're going to switch up to 2019 compact level. Let's run this thing. So we can see compact level 150. And we're going to go back to our original query, okay? So this is exactly the same as before. We're going to declare our table variable. We're going to insert that same 200,000 rows. We're going to do the same join onto it. This time again, back to our original, we've got no recompile. So let's just run this in. We'll see what happens. So first of all, let's have a look at our messages. So bear in mind, we've got no recompile going on. We've still only got 637 reads, okay? So we haven't got this big was it 600,000 reads, the original one? 600,000 read overhead going on. So straight away, we're looking good. Have a little look at execution plan. And straight away, again, a completely different looking execution plan. Interesting enough, it's also actually pulled out a couple of other interesting features of 2019, but won't worry too much about those. So let's have a look at our estimates. Okay, so remember, this is 2019 compact mode with, this hasn't got option recompile hint in it at all. We can see straight away we've got correct estimates. So we've got correct estimates. That allows us to pick a decent plan. In this case, we've actually got an adaptive join, which is another little interesting feature of 2019, which I won't go into now because otherwise we'll completely derail. But perhaps I'll look at another cast. And I've also actually just noticed as well, another feature of 2019, which we've now picked up, is execution mode. We've got batch execution mode as well in there. So that's another interesting feature of 2019, which I might mention. But what we're interested in is the temp table deferred compilation. So that now has given us those good estimates, even using a temporary table. So and this could be really, really handy, I think, for people that have got code that are riddled with table variables. I keep saying temp tables, I mean table variables. You know, this is just, I think, a drop-in fix. I've tested a few times. I've not found any downside to it. The big advantage this has over the top of the option recompile option is that this will cache your plan, okay? This will allow your plan reuse. So you're not going to be recompiling every time either. So yeah, that's just a quick look at table variable deferred compilation.
Nice. It'd be an interesting test to see side by side. So if you pop that through like SQL query stress, for example, you had your original query with option recompile versus the table variable deferred compilation through like a SQL query stress. Just be interested to see what metrics would look like. For example, CPU when it's doing those recompiles and the comparison between doing those recompiles, not having that plan in the cache compared to the deferred version. It'd be an interesting thing to see. It's always been a bit of a worry, isn't it? It's always been, I mean, there's numerous downsides to recompiling, but one of the things people are certainly concerned about is how often does that thing execute? It executes loads of times. You're going to blow your CPU through the roof if you're going to do that every 20 seconds or whatever. But it'd be an interesting side by side. I don't think I've seen anyone do that yet.
No, I have. I'll tell you what, maybe in a few weeks' time, we'll have a look at that one.
Yeah, side by side test it. It'd be quite interesting. And to see the speed difference too.
Yeah, you know what?
If there is one.
Yeah. We'll pop that onto the list. And I will spin it. We'll do a 2017 box versus a 2019 box, shall we?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because even if it's milliseconds, you know.
Should we do that, or should we do it all in 29s? Would it be a fairer test if you? Because I'm
29, yeah, do everything on the same
2019 years because we was pitching up that adaptive join, and we was pitching up batch execution as well, weren't we? Which would make a big difference, possibly. So
just compact mode only. Yeah,
let's do that.
Sounds good. No, that's interesting. That's an interesting run through of it there, because I've never really played with it too much, and I do need to. I mean, there's so much code out there using it as well. You think it's almost could be that little magic go faster button, couldn't it?
It is, isn't it?
In some situations.
So same these guys I've been working with, like, I mean, their SQL Server, it was in a bad place. It was just pegged at 100% CPU for various reasons. One of the big problems they had was a lot of recompiles, and there was a lot of table variable option recompiling there. So I think there's an issue there somewhere. There are other problems as well with them, but yeah, but their code's absolutely riddled with table variables. It's everywhere. So for them, I think this would be that just that drop it in fix. It's not a fix really, is it? It's more of a bit of gaffer tape, but
I think it's one of those accepting that it's out there. You're not going to get people to just simply weed all that stuff out. So here's a way to make that situation a bit better, isn't it? Here's a step in the right direction. Almost.
Yeah, it's more of a.
Yep.
Okay, guys.
So until next time.
Until next time. So thanks for watching, and as usual, catch us at SQLUndercover.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all these places about to show up behind me now. So until next time, take it easy. Catch you later.
See you later.